They say it takes a village to raise a kid, even more so if you have special needs. Let's see if we can help you find your village. Also, I ponder the question, if you can prompt an AI to create any application, will software as a business die? Hello, welcome to Tales Under the Cat Tree. My name is Dileepa Wijewardena, better known as Dups. In this podcast, we will explore the wonderful worlds created by the power of words, from life and technology to fiction and the future, through articles, stories, interviews, and more. If you like this episode, please take the time to subscribe to this podcast, as I would like to get to know you better. You can visit me at tales.dups.ca for more. One of my hopes for the rise of generative AI is its ability to bring highly technical skills to a wider audience. I hope that it means the rise of applications, systems, and networks that change the lives of people in a more meaningful and personalized way. But is my hope too overblown and the hype too overwhelming? Will this new world of personalized applications even arrive? And if it does, what does it mean for software as a business? First, though, I have my friend and former colleague Derek Sidebottom on the show talking about his new venture, myparentcafe.com, an application and a network which is already changing lives. And today on the podcast, I'm very happy to introduce a very good friend and a former colleague. Not once, but twice. So I want to welcome Derek Sidebottom to the podcast. This is a fellow Canadian living in the wonderfully sunny and always crazy Las Vegas, USA, and an entrepreneur working on one of the most deserving startups I've come across in recent years. And actually, this is the topic of this podcast. So Derek, welcome to Tales Under the Cat Tree.
So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Derek, hey, how did we meet? What was the reason that we ended up working together? What company was that anyway?
How far back are we going?
Well, I think we're going back to the first company we worked at. What was that small little company?
First one, yeah, we were working together at BioWare up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Yes. And for those that don't know BioWare was one of the most amazing game companies, independent game studios out of Canada. Produced things like Mass Effect, Dragon Age, you might have heard of, a few other things like that, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. And give me a short, brief history of where you've been.
Yeah, we were purchased by Electronic Arts, and I moved down to the San Francisco Bay Area in the summer of, wait for it, 2008, right before the financial collapse. It was an exciting time to be in the Bay.
And from Electronic Arts, you went on to all sorts of other places.
A couple of in-house organizations, Kabam, Rocket Fuel. We were the number one AI marketing technology company 5 years running. The world, 40 million to 400 million in kind of 2 years. We went public, just crazy growth. So I've been working in software, in gaming, in AI, in marketing technology, fintech, you name it, probably spend a bit of time in it. I just really enjoy growing organizations. And on the HR seat, it's always about how do you make people better, faster, stronger, what they're doing. And that's now poured it over into some things we're doing now, but on that for parents.
That's an excellent segue into My Parent Cafe, which is what you're doing today. What is My Parent Cafe?
My Parent Cafe, it is a parent resource network. We were stunned when we were doing the research. It takes 184,000 hours and about $350,000 right now in the United States to raise a child. They say it takes a village, and the joke is like, do they just show up? Is there a number to call? And the answer, stunningly, is there isn't. There's an app to date. There's an app to fix your house. There's an app for your career. And there's no dedicated network out there for parents. And that just became our focus in terms of like, well, what would that look like? And how could we make that happen?
So, there's parents of all types, right, Derek? Who is this actually for? Like, who are you targeting in the beginning? Because, of course, every startup tries to focus, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We talk to parents in France, in Costa Rica, Canada, the United States, everywhere. And we narrowed it down to our real purpose is to connect the people who need to the people who know. And so our quest then became, well, let's find the people who are most in need, right? This isn't about sharing what I made for breakfast, or my summer vacation. This is people who really need the connection outside of their normal networks. And so we began to focus in on the moments that matter the most. How do I manage work and life? How do I manage education? But we also then specialized in some of the harder special needs journeys, right? It would be chronic illness, cancer, kids with cancer, type 1 diabetes, autism, ADHD, chromosome disorders. These are the journeys no one signed up for. And you became a member of a club you didn't want to be part of. And then essentially we give you that club to be part of now.
Let's actually dig into that a little bit, because Facebook groups and Reddit are there already. And there are groups for parents in both those places. What does My Parent Cafe add to the mix of this?
So one of the fun things, you can think of it like, we'll call them social networks or entertainment networks for the generations, through MySpace, through Facebook, and into more Instagram, Quora, Reddit, now into TikTok. What we found is that the user base, the parents are everywhere. They're trying to use each of these different platforms to connect. None of it was purpose built. We then figured out, let's build it purpose built for that parent to connect in a way that I don't have to tell who I am. I can stay anonymous, which is the best of breed feature from one platform. I'm able to accumulate, we'll call it credibility, right? So we have a coffee bean mechanism. The more helpful you are with other people, more coffee beans you accumulate, that unlocks certain things as you go. You are able to post and reply in a way, but it's not an algorithmic platform trying to sell you things. I will add, we threw an AI co-parent in there as well to play with. So there's now a 24/7 in every one of our various villages, and Village Express, our topic areas. There's an AI co-parent ready to help with you 24/7. And once you're done getting what you want out of that discussion with the bot, right? Now let me ask the humans. And so we've linked together questions, answers, support, and solutions specifically around the parent. And that's just something the other platforms don't do.
In some ways, it's a refreshing startup because you're not trying to be AI everything. You're actually trying to connect humans to humans in something that is very important to the world.
And if you look at the people who need help the most, right, the solutions the most, they just found out that, my kid's been diagnosed with X. Their existing social networks probably don't include people who have any expertise in that area. So I need to transcend geography. I need to reach out well beyond my normal networks. The connection to people is still core. We don't really think AI is ever going to be able to genuinely say, I understand how you feel. We're just not going to believe that. So we're going to end up still needing to connect the parent who is in many ways desperate, scared, nervous, to other folks who have been there, done that. But the people who've been there, done that do not really always want to pile on with the 101, 201 answers. And so our AI bot can actually give you the research component, can give you the core information you need. So you're not taxing the parent network with the same questions over and over again. And we notice that that's ultimately why a lot of traditional group forums die. People are just kind of tired of seeing the same things again and again. So the AI carries the repetitive, and the parent humans are able to sort of give the extra insight and intel. And that's what's different.
Derek, how do you make money from My Parent Cafe?
We're a startup. We're staying lean. Originally, we thought we were going to be more of a direct to consumer play where the parents would pay a couple dollars per month. We decided to remove the friction on that because as we were talking to organizations that already existed out there, we heard a lot of these organizations that serve the parent market were like, well, this sounds great. Could we create a group on this thing? And we realized we're actually sitting on a B2B2C model. And so how we make money is ultimately we charge organizations who want to essentially have their own private group on our platform. They pay for that.
Your journey through the technology space has been, as you said, incredibly diverse. You went from gaming to marketing to HR and now to My Parent Cafe. Why My Parent Cafe? What is the personal story behind this? Why did you think this was the direction you wanted to go?
Yeah, thank you for asking. For me, after 25 years of building great workforces, so human resources, it's not a big jump to do parent resources. Like it's very similar. In the HR seat, we would always come across people who desperately needed help in their family life. But we had to stop at some point in time because we were the employer. There was always a line. Well, I found myself on that other side when, my own little one, when she was born, ultimately she's a type 1 diabetic and she's on the spectrum, and we've moved a number of times. And so this idea of, find your village was real. Oh, we're like one of the high need journeys. This just became part of the fabric of building my parent cafe. After a year of thinking about this with my co-founders, we couldn't figure out why this shouldn't exist. Like like, in fact, why doesn't it exist? And then we realized, well, we're going to make it exist. And that's, there's a determination, there's a personal story. And then, probably the last filter was, well, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And what will fuel me over the next kind of 10, 20 years? Helping parents in need is an easy one. And so that became the fuel behind this for sure.
That's one of the wonderful things that I love about startups and founders is that you are solving a passion. You're solving something that is near and dear to your heart and hoping that everyone else follows you along into the journey. So talking of the journey, where are you going next?
Yeah, we are very carefully, we're in what we call our pioneer period. After that, we go gangbuster. We are going to open up another vertical for looking after your own parents. We've heard elder care again and again. It's just one of these things where you, unfortunately, get a call sometimes in the middle of the night and boom, you need to become an expert in long-term care or insurance and financial planning and assisted living facilities. And, there's also the therapy behind it, the psychology and the sphere. And we just continue to look for these verticals of where there's massive, massive need. Even more exciting, right, than building our own product is when you're building a resource network that essentially helps people run their lives better and solve like really important problems, as you just keep coming across other innovations and entrepreneurs who are crazy enough to do the same thing. We've seen robotics and AI companies helping nonverbal kids speak, which is just unbelievable. I heard one story where there's a 19-year-old kid who had gone through all the therapies over the years with nonverbal, got connected to just the right therapist with the right technology, and they were able to speak. And there was this moment where the parent heard their kid's voice, and the kid said, "Thank you for staying with me. Hey, I thought I was going to be trapped in here my entire life." We've got another organization that runs marathons with cerebral palsy kids in wheelchairs, and it's an ex-Marine who, unfortunately his child passed away, but as a legacy project continued onward and, has literally thousands and thousands of people running races every year with these kids who are grinning at the idea of moving in their wheelchair again, right? All we're doing is a resource network, is connecting people to other real humans who have been there, done that.
This is fantastic to hear, Derek. Any last parting words about My Parent Cafe and the journey you're on?
If you're listening right now, I encourage you, go to myparentcafe.com, click and join, and just add your wisdom. We keep running into people who's like, well, I'm late. I've already had my kids and I don't have any problems right now. Yeah, but that's what we're trying to stitch together. It's, if you do know something, I assure you, this is not a spammy platform, right? Just add your knowledge in your profile to the platform. And I assure you, you won't get spammed. You won't get bothered. But every once in a while, you'll receive a little notification that, hey, a question's been posted on the forums that you might be able to help with. Would you care to add your voice? If you don't, that's fine. So we want to add the people who know. And obviously, if you're a person who needs, by all means, please join us. Organizations who are serving these spaces, you might be an influencer yourself with a community. You may be a financial planner. You might be an insurance organization. You could be a foundation, software company, wheelchair provider. We are looking to add and stitch together, frankly, the entire ecosystem that helps these high need parents. And wouldn't it be refreshing to have one place to go to rather than, we leave the doctor's office one day, leave the hospital and go, you're on your own. And the answer is you're not. You can go to my parent cafe now.
Thank you very much for coming on Tales Under the Cat Tree, Derek. It's been fun watching your ride. It's been fun being part of the ride. You are obviously a very close friend of mine. And I can't wait to see where myparentcafe.com goes.
Thanks for having us. And Dupes, you've been so supportive of our journey and appreciate helping to get the word out. And it's been fun being on the podcast. Great to talk to you again.
The fastest company to $1 billion status is a Nordic company called Lovable, which reached that lofty status within 8 months. Their tagline is create apps and websites by chatting with AI, and it is indeed compelling. Can you imagine a future where you are no longer subservient to developers adding the exact feature you were looking for? Can you imagine a future where you talk to your computer and bring about an application that is personalized to your use case? Will we stop buying software and instead build our own? Will the diversity of applications in this world increase due to the diversity of thought? And what does it mean for all those people who toil away on open source or are dependent on a small audience? Indeed, can you build an application with a simple prompt? Natural language is a poor programming language. There are many reasons why we use languages like C, C++, Python, PHP, and more. They remove ambiguity and allow us to express logic to the silicon brain of a computer. With generative AI, it is very much the case that we can finally turn some natural language into code pieces. However, we are far from a situation where someone can build an entire professional application with a single prompt. Please note, I do say a single prompt. With enough knowledge and skill, you can absolutely prompt your new AI-infused IDE, whether that is Klein, JetBrains Junie, Cursor, Copilot, or what have you, to build an application that works. You can then tweak it as you so desire. Personally, I have created my own photo gallery, and I'm working on several small day-to-day applications, such as a personalized photo backup and inventory tool. However, your mileage will vary. For one thing, you cannot trust the code that any of these create for production use, at least not yet. How the AIs are delivering that code is by predicting what code they think you need based on what they have been trained on. As such, they are very prone to hallucinations and imperfect code. That doesn't mean technology can't work in production in the hands of someone who can wield it. You just need to be careful. Yes, you can absolutely vibe code an application. However, whether you should vibe code something for production use, unless you're a professional developer, well, that's another matter altogether. Now imagine what will happen when these AIs get better, perhaps the 2027 generation. After all, what we can do today is miles ahead of what we could do even 1 year ago when it comes to coding. What happens when we can create any app we desire on a given platform? If we can build any of these apps, will selling software as a business die? Now here we come to this trillion-dollar question. To answer this, I think we have to step backward into history. Even just 300 years ago, the concept of writing was alien to most living in Western societies. Paper was expensive, and only the very learned had the skill of letters. Nowadays, we take writing and reading for granted. In fact, you cannot function in modern society without it, even if writing means texting on your phone. But for this, I can even use a more modern analogy. Just 60 years ago, taking photos meant owning an expensive camera and spending a mountain on film and developing. Over the last 20 years, we have moved to everyone having a camera on their phone that can rival the most powerful cameras of the 20th century. When you think about it, this is absolutely staggering. However, none of this meant that we all became novelists, filmmakers, and artists. Yes, it did open up more and more people to reach those endeavors that were previously the preserve of the few. Yes, whole industries were changed by the ubiquity of technology. But all those tasks still exist in some form, and we value the time and effort that individuals take to create. In other words, the technology allowed more people in and changed the nature of professions. But to this day, it is not simple to say, hey, I'm not going to hire a professional photographer for my wedding. Uncle Jimmy has an iPhone. Look, new web technologies have always brought application creation to more people. whether that be through templatized websites then or generative AI now. I do sincerely hope a wider group of people will create, as the diversity of thought will give rise to amazing applications. Of this, I have no doubt. However, will selling software as a business die? Of course not. It requires a group of people to maintain, create, and add value to the software that we use. The makeup of that group and its size will, of course, also change with technology, especially technology such as AI. And of course, how we consume software will change as well. Think of CD-ROMs to web software now. But you've heard the hype. Lovable and others do promise such a future. And the hype today is crazy. I also believe, though, that technology evolves and what I think is not possible today will be possible in the future. In many cases, I do believe that you will be able to create applications with AI that will be rolled out into production. I have no idea how Lovable or others intend to make it foolproof, but I can imagine that given certain guardrails, given certain building blocks and sanity checking, you will be able to create secure production applications that wow all of us even today. For example, building an application for an existing ecosystem like WordPress or some such will work more easily than a standalone app. However, the technology as it is today requires guardrails, requires safety from prompt injections, for which there are no easy solutions, and must take into account hallucinations, which will blow through any safety check or guardrails. We also go back to the main premise that just because we can build whatever we want, whenever we want, it's totally another step to be a professional. I could absolutely become a wedding photographer with my iPhone. I have the technology. I might even have the photographer's eye, but it's a whole step change to taking up such a profession. The same will be true of game-changing and world-spanning applications. An AI can piece things together as I ask it, but it takes another level to create a successful application at a company, no matter the hype. So will I have my future of a single prompt created application? Something like the holodeck of Star Trek? Hopefully yes. Today, it takes knowledge and multiple prompts. In the meantime, I can only hope that startups and scientists are working on both the technology to realize my future and new applications that will excite me. Thank you for listening to episode 18 of Tales Under the Cat Tree. Thank you to my friend Derek Sidebottom for the interview, and I wish him great success with My Parent Cafe, and I hope you get a chance to check it out and direct someone who might be interested as well. Do you agree with me about personalized apps? Or do you think that we will all be coding our apps in the future? Whatever your opinion, I'd love to hear from you. If you believe that this podcast or the writing I feature deserves to be seen by others, please do share. It would mean a lot to me and to the many friends who help me, listen to me, and will come on the show in the future. Please support our efforts by subscribing. You can reach me through email, contact@dups.ca, bluesky@dups.ca, or on my site and this post at tales.dups.ca. The intro music is composed by me. Give your pet a cuddle and your loved ones a hug till we meet again for some Tales Under the Cat Tree.